eBay friends, welcome to episode number 127 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is August 23rd, 2023. I have something different for you this week, a compilation of advice from estate sale specialists. If you want to up your estate sale game or have never tried finding inventory at estate sales because you just feel a little intimidated or you're just not knowledgeable about them, you will love this episode. One quick announcement. I have been receiving emails asking about when the next BOLO book will be released. Yes, I have already started working on it, and it will be released in early 2024. So that is in the works. Another common question is, are all the books different? Yes, absolutely, and that is by design. There are no repeats in the BOLO books. Every edition contains different material. The master plan for my BOLO books is an ongoing series that sellers can collect and refer to forever, kind of like a modern-day set of encyclopedias for eBay selling. I'm giving you the tools and knowledge to identify and purchase and then resell those items on eBay. My books contain mostly evergreen items, meaning they have been good sellers on eBay for a long time and will continue to be. Prices are based on actual sales using a 2-year history on Terapeak, not estimates pulled out of thin air. These are fact-based prices. So your investment in these study guides will pay you back many times over the years. And if you don't have all of the available editions, 2021, 2022, and 2023, you might want to get them so you will be as educated as possible about buying for resale when you are out treasure hunting. You can find my books in my eBay store. The link is below, or you can Google eBay Atlanta Golf Shop or Suzanne BOLO book and find them on Google. You can read through my eBay feedback to see what other sellers have to say about the books. This is a great time to get the BOLO books as the weather is about to cool down and garage sales and yard sales are about to start. You will be armed and dangerous with this knowledge. I actually went treasure hunting this past weekend and found 3 of the items listed in different books. The items on page 137 and 144 of the 2022 book, and the item on page 107 of the 2021 book. So even past editions contain information that still works today. Each book has 125 items with full color photos, so you can actually see the items and remember them better when you are out treasure hunting. And remember, the smarter seller is the more successful seller. So get your BOLO on today and get ready to make more money on eBay. Okay, and now let's get into the estate sale edition.
Hi, this is George Kelly from Chicago, Illinois, and I'm going to give you my opinions and my thoughts about estate sales. I've been going to estate sales for probably 40 years, and I've also, for 15 years, I conducted estate sales. Me and one of my buddies were partners, and so I know a lot about estate sales, and there's 2 main kinds of estate sales. One is a conducted sale where a company is running it, and the other type of sale is a family-run sale where the family is trying to clear out the house. Somebody passed away, mom died or dad died or uncle or brother, whatever, and the family's stuck with cleaning out all the stuff out of the house. And the problem I have with conducted sales is those people are working on a commission, so they need to get as much money as they can out of the belongings in the house. So usually the prices are pretty high. I do go to some conducted sales in the winter when there's no garage sales, but in the summer months I go to garage sales mostly. And in a conducted sale, those companies have a list of their clients, and they send out an email, and usually by the time you get there, there's a long line trying to get into the house. You might have to wait 20 minutes, an hour, because they only let a certain number of people in at once. And some of those people will get there at 4 in the morning and stand in line, or they'll have a sign-up list. And, if those people are already in there they only let maybe 10, 15 people at a time in there. So if you're like 25, those other people are under for 20 minutes, a half an hour before you even get it in to look. And a lot of those early people are very serious buyers, and they're willing to pay a lot more money than I will for something, because they have other ways to sell things where they can get a lot more money. They might be selling at auction, or they might have a store. They might be an interior decorator where they can pay good money for stuff and then pass it along to one of their clients. And if I do go to one of those conducted sales, it's later in the day or the second day, and just see what's left over. But basically what I'm looking for is the family-run sales. And sometimes they advertise them as an estate sale, but other times they advertise them as a garage sale. And I'll go to the garage sale, and it turns out it's an estate sale and that the family's doing, and they really don't know what they're doing, and their main motive is just to clear out the house so they could put it up for sale. And that's where I find my best bargains. Usually there's no line. You don't have to wait in line outside. Many times I could get there an hour early and they'll let me go in the house, or just go ring the doorbell. And there's only two answers when I say, "Can I come in?" They either say, "No, you can't," or they say, "Yeah, come on in." And many times they'll just let me come in. A lot of times I'll be the only one there early in the morning. And that's where I find my best bargains. And a number of times, in fact, I'm involved in one right now where the father was a hoarder. Well, I wouldn't say he was a hoarder. He was a collector and a pack rat. And the house is just stuffed with stuff. And I've been going there over and over. I've been there like 7, 8 times, and each time I spend $500, $600, $700, $800, and I'm getting just fabulous stuff out of there. And this has happened to me over and over. I've done this quite a few times where I just walk into a place and it's just a complete gold mine. I get enough stuff where I really get too much stuff. So that's basically my take on the whole thing. I conduct the sales okay. If you get in there later and you could find stuff there. You could, low dollar items, but I'm looking for the high dollar items, and I'm looking for unique items and antiques. And where I find them is family-run estate sales. So that's my opinion. Good luck at the sales.
Hi, it's Suzanne from Texas. I've been shopping at estate sales since I was a kid. I had family members who were in the business. Auctioneers and antique dealers were in my family. So auctions, estate sales, garage sales, flea markets, antique stores, those are all very familiar to me. As a young adult, I went to a lot of estate sales with friends to buy cool things for my apartment and just for fun. Then when I got older and was a newlywed, my husband and I went to estate sales pretty often to buy practical things for our home, just to save money and also to decorate with, to have unique items that nobody else had. When I got more serious about reselling in the 2000s, I started attending estate sales more regularly for sourcing and still enjoy doing that today. So here are some of my best tips and suggestions for shopping at estate sales. Some of the best ways to find estate sales, technology's made this really easy. Estatesales.net and estatesales.org are two of the best known websites, and they're really a great place to start. You should know, though, as a reseller, that these sites both charge a fee to post a sale. And so if a family is hosting a private estate sale, they might avoid that fee and just put the sale on Facebook or Craigslist because those are still free. So it's definitely worth looking there to try to find estate sales as well. When I'm looking for an estate sale, of course, I look at all the pictures, but another thing that you definitely want to do is read the sale description prior to going to the sale. In the description, you'll find little hints like home of a beloved art professor or estate of a world traveler, or a longtime cattle rancher. So if you're looking for things like textbooks or art or leather goods, then you'll know that those sales might have some of the things that you're looking for. So definitely read those descriptions. When I'm looking for a sale, I tend to gravitate towards sales that are grandma's house. That's the way my husband and I talk about it. I like ads that say things like 40 years of accumulation, packed house, packed garage, or a barn full of treasures. Those are my favorites. I love sales where mom or dad passed away and they never threw anything away. So the family's just overwhelmed with stuff and they can't wait to clear the house out so they can put it up for sale. Those are the things I love because there's going to be plenty to go through and lots of interesting treasures to find. So if the pictures look too staged or pretty or clean, it's probably not a sale that I would enjoy. But if you go to enough estate sales, you'll start to know what kind of sales that you like, and you can look for those. If you're not a morning person and your schedule just doesn't allow you to get to estate sales early, don't worry. Don't let the FOMO get to you. There's still going to be plenty of treasure available. I typically go to estate sales in mid-morning or the early afternoon once the initial rush of people has kind of gone through, and that usually there's a big crowd at lunch as well. So I also go on to sales on the second or third day. This gives me the opportunity to kind of shop at my leisure and not have people elbowing me. And also you can discover some things that other people have overlooked. Also, the estate sale company or the family will be more motivated to get rid of things because the sale is going to be over soon. So if you can't get to a sale first day, first thing in the morning, don't worry about it. There's still going to be tons of great stuff to find if you go later. I have favorite estate sale companies that I love to shop with and some that I avoid. If you go to enough estate sales, you'll start to have your favorites as well. My favorite companies are my favorites because they're friendly and they're motivated to clear out the house. My least favorite ones are a little snootier, not really willing to make deals, and their pricing is kind of crazy. So my favorite estate sale companies encourage business because they offer bundle pricing and they often have fill-a-bag deals at the end of the sale. So they're really working hard to get that house cleared out. So when you go to an estate sale and you have a good experience, I highly recommend saying something to the cashier, or if the owner is nearby, you can just say, hey, I had a great time at your sale. Do you have any others coming up? And get a copy of their business card. So you'll start to establish those relationships and maybe you can build some goodwill for future opportunities. I recommend mapping out your route the night before. Make notes with the times of the sale and also a few of the items that you're interested in so you can kind of remind yourself when you're in the car and on the way. Take plenty of cash. A lot of estate sales take cards and apps, but most of them still do not because there's fees involved. You don't want to be stuck at the checkout without money. Also, cash is more persuasive than a card can be. So if you're trying to make a deal, prices at estate sales are usually not negotiable because they have a discount schedule. But if you're buying a lot of stuff, I just bought all of the books at an estate sale and I made a crazy low price and they took it. So you just never know. And with cash, if you're able to put cash into their hands, they may just take your deal. Another top tip of mine is to take some reusable shopping bags with you. If the estate sale offers bags, they're usually just the thin plastic grocery bags and they're not very good. So you'll be really glad you have your own. Also, you can take the bag with you while you're shopping and not have to put your stuff on a hold table. I would always be wary of the hold table. I've had bad experiences with people pilfering through my pile and leaving with some of the stuff that I was really excited about. So if you can keep it with you, that's probably better, or take it immediately to your car and then come back and shop some more. When you're browsing at an estate sale, remember to look up and look down. Most people will only see what's at eye level and they'll miss things that are up high. So also check in the corners, under the tables, in cabinets, and in boxes on the floor. Sometimes you'll find things that the estate sale company forgot to put out or price. And sometimes you'll find things that people have stashed away to purchase later on half price day. So you just never know what you're going to find in those boxes. My biggest estate sale score was a large 20 to 25 piece set of vintage Salad Master cookware. I paid $35 total for it, which is an incredible deal. I walked into an estate sale and a lady was looking at the set and asked a family member that was standing there how much it was. He quoted her $35 for the set, and it was killing me because I knew it was a killer deal. She kind of hesitated and said, "Oh, I have to go ask my husband," and she walked away. So I pulled $35 cash out of my purse and handed it to the guy and said, "I'll take it." And he immediately started boxing it up for me, and we took it out to my car. By the time I was going back into the sale, the lady came out and was saying, "But I wanted to buy that." And I felt a little bit sorry for her, and there's a lot of lessons in that story, but I'll leave you with two main takeaways. Number one, if you know it's a good deal, you should buy it without hesitation. And number two, especially for the ladies, always earn your own money as long as you are able to, so you can spend it as you please without having to ask permission from anyone. Thanks.
Hi, this is Mark. I'm from Northwest Ohio, and I've been shopping estate sales for eBay since about 2010. I used to do a little more in terms of garage sales and thrift stores, and around 2010, I really started to focus on estate sales just because they were year round. You can go in, you can browse, you can not find anything and walk out and not feel like you are rejecting the person who is hosting the garage or the yard sale. Today, I'd like to share some tips and tricks and just some thoughts from having spent a lot of years going to a lot of estate sales, shopping for things to flip on eBay. Like a lot of people, I tend to find the estate sales that I shop at by going to estatesales.net, either their website. I also have the app on my phone. You put in your zip code and you put in the dates, and it shows you what estate sales are happening around you, days, hours, discounts, lots of photos, or hopefully lots of photos, because the photos really give you an idea of whether or not that sale might be full of things that you are looking for and are interested in selling. I will also look at Facebook Marketplace, as well as some of the local garage sale groups that are in my area, because sometimes people who are hosting estate sales will advertise and promote them there. Usually that's going to happen in the case of a privately listed sale that may be being run by family members rather than an estate sale company. And by advertising on Facebook, you don't have to pay because estatesales.net does charge you to post and promote your sale there. In my area, on a slow week, we might have only 3 or 4 estate sales, but on a really busy week, there might be 9 or 10. And so most weekends, we find ourselves in the middle of that range, which allows us to hit a bunch of sales, typically on a Saturday, and hopefully find some really interesting bargains. As far as selecting which sales that we go to, we do rely a bit on the pictures. Sometimes people don't like when estate sale companies put a bunch of pictures on the listing. I really like it because that gives me a really good idea not only of the stuff they have, but the type of stuff they may have based on the photos of the stuff that they have. I've also, over the course of time, gotten to know the individual estate sale companies and a lot of the people who work there and a lot of people who run them. And different companies will have the different clientele that they focus on. Some of the companies here focus on higher end estates, and those can be a lot of fun to shop. Others may look at different segments of the market. There's one or actually a couple of companies that really specialize on estates and houses that have lots and lots and lots of stuff in them. And again, those can be really profitable, and I find those to be a lot of fun as well. That's where I found some of my best vintage finds and unique finds at those types of sales. Often there's so much stuff, they are really just trying to get the place cleared out. And so there will absolutely be items where they have done their research and they have priced them maybe higher than I want to spend. But then for every one of those, there are probably 5 or 10 items that they're just trying to get out of the house. And there can be some real finds and some real profitable finds there. When I arrive at a estate sale, my first stop is usually the kitchen. And that's something that started way back at the beginning when I first started doing estate sales. And I'm a creature of habit, and it really has stuck. But I enjoy kitchens, not only because I sometimes find kitchen stuff to sell, but also kitchens have pantries, they have cupboards, they have the cabinet under the sink. And there's some really good finds that you can find there. For instance, if you are old enough to remember the cans of Drano crystals, well, those cans are no longer made. And a lot of times people have those cans underneath their sinks. Sometimes they're partially used. Sometimes, maybe they were buy one, get one free, or 2 for $5 or something like that. So people stocked up and never got around to using them. And a can of Drano crystals can very easily sell for 40, 50 plus dollars. And usually it's $1 or it's 50 cents underneath a cupboard. And so those are, to me, the fun places to look in the kitchens. I'm not really big into things like flatware. I do sell some dishes from time to time, but not entire sets, but often an interesting piece here or there. But the pantries and the cupboards, the cleaning products, those are the things that tend to really catch my eye and that I'm always on the hunt for when I am hitting an estate sale. I will do a very similar thing when the bathroom is on probably next on my list. because bathrooms, in addition to having health and beauty, can have cleaning supplies and household supplies. And if you're at a house that has a lot of vintage items, sometimes houses are just like time capsules almost, and you can find some of those really cool and really desirable vintage cleaning items, as well as things like health and beauty as well. Although, since health and beauty items have to be new, you want to keep your eye out for that. But there are certainly lots of those things to be found, again, under the kitchen sink or in the linen closet or in the bathroom closet. And often estate sale buyers are not looking for those things, and you can find some really interesting things there. I'm also a fan of basements and garages, not necessarily because I'm going to basements and garages to find power tools and hand tools and those sorts of things, which are often popular items in basements and garages. But I'm looking for, again, the cleaning supplies and those sorts of things that most people are going to overlook. If you remember the old Johnson wax, it's in a yellow metal can with, I think, black and red graphics on it. That's a $50 to $60 bottle, or $50 or $60 sale if you can find those. And typically they're $1 or a couple for $1 on some overlooked shelf in the basement or in the garage. And so those are some of the things that I keep my eye on. I like selling just about anything, so from Christmas to health and beauty to cleaning supplies to you name it. I sell a little bit of everything. And so being able to be interested in those areas and those things that a lot of people aren't, you can find some really good stuff to sell. One of my favorite things that I have found when I was in an estate sale that was almost this time capsule of cleaning products. And when I looked at the photos, the basement was just full of 1970s and 1980s brawny paper towels and Dermassage dishwashing detergent and Joy dishwashing detergent with the old labels and the old graphics. And I don't know if this person was a couponer before extreme couponing was a thing, but had this basement full of brand new 25, 30, 40-year-old cleaning supplies and household supplies. And the estate sale company was basically asking $1 or $2 each. And so I found some detergent that sold for a couple $100. I found some dish detergent, the Joy and the Dermassage and Sunlight that were selling for $30 and $40 a bottle. And I was paying $1, maybe $2, depending on the size of the bottle. So those are always fun things for me. Since I've kind of gotten on the subject of fun finds that I have found over the years, I want to share with you a few of the things. One of my favorite things, several years ago, I went to an estate sale, and it was by a company that specializes in these big packed estates that they're really just trying to get cleared out. And this particular sale was packed, floor to ceiling. And I was in the basement and I found a stack. I think there were 4 or 5 in total of the vintage LL Bean canvas beach totes. And these were from the 60s, but even some of the more recent ones from the 80s have value as well. Those totes were $3 each. I think I got 4 of them, so I paid $12 for them. They sold individually. I think the least expensive one I sold was about $199, and the most expensive one was $299, and the other two were in between. And the pricing was based on the size of them. And so I made $1,000 from that listing, from that $12 investment. So those LL Bean totes, I think, are always things you want to keep your eyes out for. One of my other favorite sales came from an online estate auction, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But in this particular auction, there was a box of stuff. And in that box of stuff, there were DVDs, there were some video games, there were some VHS cassettes, but kind of wedged in there in the photo, because that's all I was going by was the photo on the online auction. There was a sealed Revision A, which means the very first edition of Tetris for the Nintendo Entertainment System from the 80s. It was shrink wrapped. It looked like it was brand new and never been touched. And the corner of it was just kind of peeking out in the photos. And so I took a chance, bid on it, ultimately ended up winning it. I paid about $70 for the entire lot. And it turned out that when I went to pick it up and I made a beeline for it, the Tetris game was sealed and in pristine, or at least pretty good shape. And it was exactly what I thought it was. And then I listed it and sold it for $800. So that $60 investment turned into an $800 sale a few months later. So that's probably one of my biggest single item sales was that vintage Tetris game. But I have over the years found things like Department 56, Christmas Village items, or especially the Halloween and St. Patrick's Day. The other holidays tend to have a little more value because they're more rare. And so I have bought and sold tons of those over the years. And I really enjoy selling those too because they can bring in a lot of money. If they have their own box, they have their own box and their own packaging, so they're really easy to ship, provided it's got the original stuff. And again, I think they're just a lot of fun. So those are also things that I'm always keeping an eye out for when I am shopping. And I mentioned I got those at an online estate auction, and I've been doing more and more of those. It's an online auction, so it's like eBay in the early days where you get a few photos and you bid and hopefully you win. The challenge for me is that sometimes I get carried away and bid a little bit too much. But usually I have never really gotten burned from an online auction sale or an online auction purchase and have been really happy, and it's a lot of fun. So you might check out in your areas. I know here we've got a couple of companies that pretty much only do online estate auctions instead of having in-person sales. And so I'm on their mailing list. And so whenever there's a new auction, I go and check it out. So those are my thoughts. Those are my tips. I will be out this weekend, and much like I'm out generally every weekend on Saturday mornings, we get out, my wife and I go out and hit the sales for the day. And so if you have not tried estate sailing, check out estatesales.net and see what sales are in your area. And then on a Saturday morning or whatever day you're available to go, hop in the car and go and check it out. I tend to go primarily on Saturdays because I work Monday at my actual job Monday through Friday. But the funny thing is, if there is a really good sale or a sale that looks like it's a really good sale, and if I know about it far enough in advance, I am not afraid to take a vacation day so that I can get there on the weekday when they still have more of the stuff. But typically we're Saturday morning shoppers. Saturday's usually 50% off and sometimes 75% off day. And so it's a really good day for saving money while hopefully making money down the line.
Hi, this is Ginger, and I'm from Texas, and I've been shopping estate sales for, I don't know, more than 15 years. Some of my suggestions or lessons, things I've learned through the years are, number one, learn the estate sale companies in your area. Some of them are great, and some charge more than you can buy new. I've learned to avoid those as they're usually a waste of time. When I do go, I head straight to either the office, the bathroom, or the garage first. Since I'm not a big clothes reseller, I usually don't head for the closet. I look for old software, calculators, pencils, etc. in the office. Bathrooms can have bottles of perfume, unopened now, of course, makeup, soap, shampoo, lotions, etc. that are retired or discontinued. Garages have garage stuff, but also things they don't think are particularly valuable. There are treasures to be found there usually. I found a set of Marshallville Chicago skyline glasses for $1 on the last day of an estate sale in the garage. I sold them for $60 to $80. It's been a few years, so my memory's not accurate for sure, but plus shipping. I usually head for the kitchen after that and try to find Cutco knives and blocks, Pampered Chef, vintage bowls, under cabinet mount silk can openers, silverwares, etc. Also, unusual vintage cups, glasses, etc. After that, I head to the backyard to check out flower pots, plants, and patio furniture, sometimes for myself and sometimes to sell locally. I've also run into a few blow molds at estate sales that people have no idea that they're worth anything and have gotten them for like $5. I try to be an early attendee, but honestly, the crowds are so crazy right when they open that I usually wait till they've been open about an hour and then head in. Unless I see something I'm really wanting to have, and then I'll go ahead and fight the crowd. For me, I'm kind of jealous of all the other eBayers on our channel that seem to get great deals and fill bags and all this stuff on the last day. I personally don't see that here in Texas. Maybe I'm just not in the right area, but usually the estate sales are pretty empty by the last day, at least at the ones I go to. As I said, some of the estate sale companies are so expensive that I don't even go there. But the ones that I do like to go to are pretty well cleaned out by the second day afternoon. And a lot of times they don't even have it on Saturday because they're completely bought out. My favorite estate sales actually are family run. And the reason for that is, I don't know, people don't research every single item. Usually they're just wanting to get rid of stuff. And they really sell stuff cheap. My personal favorite thing I ever found was my mid-century teak desk by, I think it's Kai Christensen, which is valued at like $3,600 on First Dibs. I bought it for $40 and I use it every day. It's in my office and I absolutely love it. I usually don't try to negotiate much on the first day, but on the second day I will make offers. Or if I have a bundle, a lot of times the state company that I always go to theirs, I know them as personal friends and everything. They'll usually kind of cut me a deal if I buy several things. Estate sales can be kind of hit and miss on price, but I have found an MCM mid-century dresser that's in a guest room at a family-run estate sale for $40. And then the vintage butterfly frame chairs, I find them pretty often for $5 to $10. Matter of fact, I've gotten myself supplied, my daughter supplied, and her best friend also supplied with those because we all like mid-century. A few years ago in my hometown, and I believe it was a family run, I found a mid-century coffee table, end tables, and a desk, and I kept the coffee table for me. I think I spent $150 for all that. I kept the coffee table for me. My daughter wanted the end table. She actually uses them for nightstands in one of her guest bedrooms, and gave my son the desk, and he uses it in his home office. Most of the time, I find my estate sales on estatesale.net or local Facebook groups. Honestly, I do like to go to estate sales, but really, as far as just getting really great deals, unless they're family run, usually I have better luck at garage sales. I'm kind of like you. The thrift stores are getting a little hit and miss. The prices are going up, and I think Goodwill puts all their good stuff on the website now, so you don't find much there anymore. And I mean, I do find treasures there, but it's not like it used to be. So I guess those are my experiences. So anyway, thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Steve from New Jersey. I started going to estate sales in early 2022, and they quickly became my main source of items to sell. Thank you, Suzanne, for inviting me to come on the show again and to share some tips and tricks for shopping at estate sales. The first thing you need to know is how to find estate sales in your area. The best resource I've found is the estatesale.net app. They also have a website, but I greatly prefer the app. There is another site called estatesales.org, but I really prefer the .net one. With that, you can search for sales and filter by distance from your location. You can search up to 14 days in advance. There are also filters for the types of sales you want, including on-site sales, online sales, auctions, and more. When a sale is listed on the app, they just give the dates and the town. Typically, the actual address isn't released until the morning of the sale, usually around 6 or 7 a.m. The listing gives a lot of important information, so be sure to read the description and the terms before going in. That will give you some idea of what's being sold, what forms of payment they accept, when the sign-up sheet will be available, whether or not it's okay to bring in bags, and more. Speaking of the sign-up sheet, at least around here, they typically put out a clipboard a couple of hours before the sale so people can sign up and then return at opening time rather than having to stand in line for an hour or two. Occasionally, they even put out the list the evening before. Other sales don't do a list, but an hour or so before opening, someone is there handing out numbers. And still other sales are first come, first serve, so you need to get there and get in line. But the app will tell you how each sale is being handled. All of that generally applies only to day one of a sale. On later days, you just show up and go in, or even after the initial rush on day one. If the sale opens at 9, usually by about 10 they've gone through the list and you can just enter freely. The app has preview photos. Sometimes it's just a couple dozen, but other times it's hundreds of photos. I always take the time to scroll through them, even though I often end up buying things that weren't in the photos. Still, the photos give a pretty good sense of what the house looks like and what type of things you can expect to find there. In the app, you can also mark photos as favorites and add notes to photos. So if you look up comps for an item, you can note that on the photo. Don't assume that just because you don't see something you like in the photos that it isn't worth going to the sale, because they never photograph everything. They're selling the entire contents of a house, so there are thousands of items available. Only a small sample of them will make it into the photos. It's very important to understand that no two estate sales are the same. Each company has a different style and feel to it, and even within the same company, each sale can be a little different, as the desires of the homeowner can affect how each sale is run. If you are new to estate sales, I recommend that you go to at least 2 or 3 sales run by each of the main companies in your area to get a good feel for how they each operate. For example, some are much more firm on pricing, others are all about negotiating and bundling and making deals. There's one company in my area that I have learned not to go to their sales because I just don't like their attitude or selling style, so I skip them. But there are a couple of other companies that are great and I do really well at their sales. One common question is if you need to get to a sale early on day one to find anything good. The answer is definitely not. Houses are typically full of stuff with plenty to go around. If you're looking for hot collectibles or a specific item you saw in the pictures, you probably want to get there early. But if you show up an hour or two later, or near the end of the day, or on the second or third day, there will still be plenty of stuff to choose from. In fact, with some of the bigger sales, they will occasionally put out more items as space gets freed up on day two. There may be merchandise that wasn't even there on day one. Also, they are generally more open to haggling as the sale progresses. It's not unusual for them to mark down prices 50% on the final day, or even do a bag sale where you can fill a bag for $20 or $30. I've gotten some great buys near the end of a sale on things that were just priced too high initially so nobody bought them. I think a lot of buyers have a plan of attack they follow when they enter a house, and it really depends on what you're looking for. If you want tools, you'll probably hit the basement and garage first. If you want clothing, you'll head to the bedrooms. If you want china and glassware, you'll start in the kitchen and dining room. Personally, I sell a little of everything, but mainly the sort of stuff that flies under the radar, so I tend to start in the basement, as that's where I often find the hidden gems that the company didn't see value in. Then I'll make my way through the rest of the house. One tip is to take the time to open drawers and cabinets. Just because they're closed doesn't mean they're empty. I often see people go into a room, look at the items on the dresser, and move on to the next room. I go in and open the drawers and find all sorts of things. Just because it's in the bedroom doesn't mean it's full of clothing or linens. At most estate sales I've been to, they will have prices on some stuff, but not everything. For the stuff without prices, you'll need to ask one of the workers. What I usually do is gather everything I'm interested in and go up to the cashier all at once to get a price for the bundle. They will also usually have an area where you can make a pile as you're shopping so that you don't have to carry everything around. Then you can get a price for all of it at once you're done shopping. Just ask them where you can hold stuff. For the sorts of things I buy, I generally find that estate sale prices are as good or better than thrift shops, especially when buying a bunch of items. Thrift shops don't usually haggle, so if you buy 10 items, you pay the marked price for all 10 of them. But at the estate sale, they might see that bundle of 10 items and come down 20 or 30 or 40%. They don't have the flexibility of a thrift store to let the stuff sit for days or weeks before it sells, because they only have a day or two to sell as much as they can from that house. Also, don't be afraid to make offers on things that you want. So what sort of things have I found at estate sales? Really everything and anything. Here are a few of my best finds. If you heard my previous appearance on this podcast, you heard the bottle cap story. I bought a crate with hundreds of vintage beer bottle caps for $10. So far, I've made over $4,000 reselling those caps, including one single cap that sold for $610, which is my best sale ever. Another top sale was a 16mm film put out by RCA and the U.S. Air Force Reserve that I bought for $8 and sold at auction for $477. I bought a Danbury Mint football player figurine for $50 and sold it the next day for $499. I got a set of 10 DVDs for woodworking about how to make your own pool cues. I paid $10 and sold the set for $200. That was a purchase I made in the final hour of a multi-day sale. I bought a lot of 109 Ministry audio cassette programs for $98. Over about 6 months, I sold all but a few of them for a total of over $1,000. Most buyers bought multiple titles at once, as many as 12 or 14 at a time. That was also a purchase made on the last day of a 3-day sale. At another sale, I bought 3 Lennox Carousel animal figures for $6 each. I sold them within 2 weeks for $70, $78.50, and $93. So I paid $18 and made $241.50. Estate sales are my main source of items, so I could go on and on with sales stories, but that gives you an idea of the kinds of opportunities that exist with estate sales. One other thing I'd say is to be polite and respectful when you go to estate sales. You are in someone's home. Sometimes they're still living there. So treat everything with care. Don't make a mess. Don't go in rooms and closets that are marked off as being not part of the sale. Leave everything the way you found it. Don't just dump a box, rummage through it, and leave it that way. The people who run the sales also get to know the regular customers. So foster those relationships. Be kind and polite to them. Be friendly. Get to know them. And they will help you out. Sometimes they learn what you're looking for. You can always give them your number, and sometimes they may call you with something. It never hurts to be kind. So if you haven't already, get that estatesales.net app and start checking out what's available in your area.
Hello, this is KC in Utah, and I've been going to estate sales for roughly 20 years now, and these are my favorite tips and suggestions and lessons that I've learned. When I'm looking for estate sales, it's all done online, and most often it's on Facebook. I do subscribe to their email lists when I'm checking out at their sale, but it seems like I never really get the emails. So online and Facebook is definitely the place I go. When I'm looking for sales, the most important thing to me is that it's in my town or one of the neighboring small towns. I live about 20 minutes away from Salt Lake City, and any sale that's in the city is just way too crowded for me. I'd much prefer to stick to the small towns and less crowded sales. The sales I decide to go to are based purely on the photos. I can easily go through the photos 10 times, and I will zoom in, I will inspect every single item, and I just try to get an overall feel of the sale. A lot of times you can actually see price stickers on the items when you look online, and if you zoom in, you can see what prices they're asking, and I can compare that to the sold comps and just get a feel if it's going to be a good sale or not, if items are overpriced or underpriced. It's all based on the photos. I never have a favorite room or part of the house where I always go to first. I always study the photos, and I'm always first in line at the sale. So while I'm waiting, I can sort of visualize the house, visualize the layout, and I'll always have a rough mental plan of the route I plan on taking. But once the doors open, everything can change so fast. You have to be willing to change your plan. If the doors open and everyone's rushing to the right, I'll just change entirely and I'll go left. I just have to be first into a room to find the best stuff. Also, what's important to me is covering the entire house as fast as I can. I will go through every room as quickly as possible. If I see something amazing that catches my eye, I'll grab it. I'll go to the next room. Once I've fully inspected the house, then I can go back to places where I think I'm going to find other good items. But I can't just go to one spot and get bogged down. You could go to a closet and you could be stuck in there for a half an hour and you will miss the whole house. The best places where I find the most profits, it's always looking for items that aren't priced. A company can never really just go through and price every single item in a house. So when it comes to a tactic or a strategy, I love looking for items that aren't priced, and I'll make a big pile, a bundle of items. And when you get to the checkout, it's total chaos. And you come up with a whole pile of items that aren't priced, and that's where I always seem to get my best deals. I sort of feel like if there's a price on an item, they've looked it up or they have some kind of idea of its value. And if they haven't priced it, then that means they really have no idea. You can also look for sections that have bulk pricing. Say it's a closet, it could just say $5 for linens or T-shirts are $2, pants are $3. And that way you can find the items that are extra special, that have more value. But if it's just a cabinet full of figurines, and one's priced $20, one's priced $30, one's priced $25, I basically don't even look at that. I just presume that everything's priced appropriately, and that's not for me. I am always first in line. That's the most important thing to me. I just figure if I'm going to go to a sale, and say you think you make $100 an hour, me waiting in line is worth $100 to me. Like, that's part of getting paid. So I'm always first. You have to be quick. You have to be fast. You have to have a plan. But if you're 20 people back in line, there could be 5 people like me ahead of you. And you're kind of hopeless when the doors open. Even if they're not resellers that are in front of you in line, people know what good deals are. They know what good items are. They know what they want to buy. They've looked at the photos. So you're not just competing against resellers. You're competing against everybody who wants the best deals. Even if it's a sale where I think, based on the photos, I'm not that interested, but I could be interested on half price day. Once I've decided it's a sale worth going to, whether it's half price day or opening day, I'll just go first, and I'll go on opening day. I'll be first in line because I've already decided it's worth going to. And generally, it's always worked out. I can still decide which items I want to leave for half price day. But why would I just not go to opening day? If I'm going to go to half price day, I'll go to opening day and I'll be first in line. On the other end of the spectrum, I'll do the opposite of first in line on half price day. If I'm going to go on half price day, I'll just go when there's 30 minutes left. That's when they're ready to sell. That's when I'm ready to make some big deals. And I've had incredible success at that. It's really hard for me to remember all of my best deals. I buy and sell so much stuff. It's all just one big blur. But as far as estate sales go, one that sticks out in my head is it was a sale and there was just tons of scuba diving equipment. And living in Utah, you can imagine, is not a hot spot for scuba diving. So I always knew this stuff would never sell. And I just waited until the last half hour and I went back to the sale and all of the scuba gear was still there. And I just made a huge pile. And this was expensive, nice stuff. Like top of the line scuba gear. And I just said, let's make a deal on this pile. And there was items that were hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And he would just say $50. I don't remember exactly what I paid or how much I made on anything, but it was really a lot of money. And all I had to do with was just knowing what they could and couldn't sell, and knowing that if I came back in the last half hour on the last day, and they're ready to clear the house out, it was going to be time to make a deal. Prices are definitely higher at estate sales. There's no doubt about it. I don't really have a formula I work on. Like, do I want to double my money or triple my money? That's all relative to your position in life. If you really need inventory, maybe doubling your money is worth doing it. For me, I have hundreds of items that are unlisted. So I'm going to need to do more than double or triple my money to make me want to buy something. But even if overall prices are higher, you can still find items that they misprice or they don't know enough about it, or it's in your realm of expertise, or it's unpriced. You can definitely make money in an estate sale, but it's never going to be on the items that they price high. The companies go in, they have a general idea of items that have value, and they could be right, they could be wrong, but our job as resellers is to find the discrepancies. My experience that negotiating prices rarely works if an item's already priced. Whether it's opening day or half price day, if they've priced something, it's really hard to negotiate. The only exceptions, like I've said, is buying items that aren't priced or going in the last hour or half hour of a sale when they're really ready to make some deals. But I never just negotiate something in checkout line if it's already priced. It's never worked for me. Estate sales can be wild. Just imagine you go to yard sales and you wonder how somebody has such a bizarre assortment of items in their driveway. Just imagine when you go into the whole house and you have full run of just the most bizarre items, most bizarre collections, most bizarre hoardings you could imagine. You really never know what you're going to find. If you go to a yard sale, it's mostly stuff they've already gone through, they want to get rid of. But the estate sale is exciting. You walk in and it's literally everything. And that to me is really fun.
And I want to thank everyone who participated. Thank them for their time in sending in their recorded answers. And please let me know if you like this format, because I feel like we can use this again and again with different topics. That way the information is focused on one thing, and if you want to learn about a certain topic, you can refer to these podcasts. You can send me your feedback by email, Facebook message. All of my contact information is below. Okay, on to today's trivia question. Since our topic in this episode was estate sales, I looked up some estate sale statistics on NESA, the National Estate Sale Association. The question is, what is the estimated value of items sold at estate sales in the United States every month? Here's a few seconds to think about it. Okay, the answer is $100 million. That is huge. Another statistic is that on average, 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 each day and will do so over the next 20 years. So that's about 3 million people a year. And why should you care? Because a large percentage of those retiring people will downsize or move to their retirement location and have estate sales. So get ready to hit those sales and find treasures. All right, that is a wrap for episode number 127. Thank you so much for joining us for the last hour, and I hope you learned some new stuff, because I sure did. I love the tip about finding things that aren't priced, because that opens the door for negotiation. Next week, I have a famous person, which I was kidding her about that, but she's going to talk about her upcoming appearance on Antiques Roadshow. You will really enjoy this episode, so make sure to tune in. Talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.